everyone, my name is Leanne and today I'm going to be sharing with you another poem from my poetry portfolio Stretchmarks. If you want to know more about this portfolio, then you can check out the playlist down below, but essentially all you need to know is that the poems in this are based around repealing the 8th Amendment in Ireland. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the writing process of this one at the end, but yeah, this one is called Flight. You begin to lift, and your internal organs start to shift upwards. Pressure is building and the crew is advising you to buckle in. You're not listening because a couple rows back there's an infant crying, then there's this woman who's lying about the nature of her business trip. And 2 rows ahead is the guy with Tourette's who's desperately trying to keep his nerves under check so the word bomb doesn't slip from his lips. Then there's you, sat in D2, your backpack nestled on top of your shoes, your tummy is flipping. And if grandmother knew, she'd say that the baby was doing somersaults and bouncing on trampolines inside of you. But she doesn't know, and you know that it'll be over soon. So there's not a whole bunch of stuff that I want to say about the writing process of this poem, but you will have seen when I've inserted a picture of it that this is a concrete poem. It's in the shape of a plane. I think it looks a little bit like the Angel of the North, but it is a plane. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit how I go about writing a poem like that, because I have done a few like that over the years. The one I'm probably most proud of is called What a State the State is In, and that is in the playlist down below, which is shaped like Ireland, and it's pretty good in my opinion. And how I go about writing a poem like this is that I will find an image of what I would like to shape the poem like. So a fairly simple illustration of it, and I will put it onto my Word document and kind of use that as a template and try and fit the words into that picture. It's a really interesting exercise to try out because you are trying to select language that's going to fit into the form, into the shape that you need it to fit in, without compromising the content in any way. I think of course there is a little bit of give and take here and there, but it's also a really exciting challenge. Like, in restricting yourself, you're forcing yourself to become more creative and try and solve the problem. Sometimes I've tried to create poems like this and it just hasn't worked because I realise I'm compromising something in order to fit it into the shape. But other times it has worked fantastically, and the poems that it hasn't worked for, the challenge of it and the way I forced myself to try and think about things creatively has actually made the poem better, even if it's not in the original shape that I wanted it to be in. Once you enter into an exercise like this, you don't need to commit to that shape being the final form of the poem, but sometimes it does work out. And with Flight actually existed a while ago. The whole section that is about the woman who's lying about the nature of her business trip and the guy with Tourette's, that was part of the original poem which I wrote back in my first year of university. I think it was an okay poem, but when I was putting together Stretchmarks, I realised that what I had come up with in that original poem could actually be put to much better use with the addition of the you character. I think it gave the poem a much tighter focus. I think that's something that's really interesting to hear about, you know, the fact that something can exist in one form and then be remolded years later when you realise a better way of using it. I guess what I'm trying to say is if you write a poem that you think, oh, this is okay, but I'm not insanely in love with it, just keep hold of it. It might be useful one day. Anyways, that's all I'm going to talk about today. If you can, please vote yes on the 25th of May. Yeah, that's all from me today, and I will talk to you guys soon.